Welcome to Matthew 21. This is a bit longer. It has this section and these. I'll try to get through it well, but this is a bit of a long one. Triumphal entry. Now when they drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage, to the Mount of Olives, then Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village in front of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied, and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, you shall say, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them at once." This took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet, saying, "Say to the daughter of Zion, Behold, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, for the foal of the beast of burden." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put on their cloaks, and he sat on them. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and the others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went before him and that followed him were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!" And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up, saying, "Who is this?" And the crowd said, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth of Galilee." All right, let's look into it. So Jesus sends 2 disciples to get a colt for the prophecy, to fulfill the prophecy in Isaiah 62:11. And people ended up putting their cloaks and branches off trees on the ground, which this would symbolize Jewish victory. And when I think of this, I think of a gentleman putting a coat over like a puddle or so a lady can walk on it, saying this person is too pure for the ground that they touch. All right, lastly, Hosanna. That word means, "Oh, save." All right, Jesus cleanses the temple. And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and brought into the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. And he said to them, "It is written, My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers." And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonderful things he did, and the children crying out in the temple, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they were indignant. And they said to him, "Do you hear what these are saying?" And Jesus said to them, "Yes. Have you read, out of the mouth of infants and nursing babies, you have prepared praise." And leaving them, he went out to the city of Bethany and lodged there. So Jesus cleanses the temple. So he's flipping tables because they're making it a place of, they're selling the house of God. They're making it as a sort of form of advertisement because people go into the temple a lot. And Jesus flipped the tables, and in verse 13, he said to them, "It is written, My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers." This sometimes means a den of thieves. And then Jesus would heal the blind and lame, and even the children are singing Hosanna. All right, Jesus curses the fig tree. In the morning, as he was returning to the city, he became hungry. And seeing the fig tree by the wayside, he went to it and found nothing on it but only leaves. And he said to it, "May no fruit ever come from you again." And the fig tree withered at once. When the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, "How did the fig tree wither at once?" And Jesus answered them, "Truly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, 'Be taken up and thrown into the sea,' it will happen. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." So Jesus right here he causes the fig tree to wither and die, because what the fig tree is it's in season, it's the right time for it to bear fruit, but it's not. And this is symbolic for people who have fake faith. You present yourself to having faith, but in reality you don't. And Jesus curses it. Also, Jesus says, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will also do what you have seen what was done to this fig tree. And also, you can say to this mountain, "You'll be cast out into the sea," so you can move mountains. The authority of Jesus is challenged. The authority of Jesus challenged. And when he entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came up to him and as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? And who gave you this authority?" Jesus answered them, "I also will ask you one question, and if you tell me the answer, Then I also will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, from where did it come? From heaven or from man? And they discussed it amongst themselves, saying, If we say from heaven, he will say to us, Why then did you not believe him? But if we say from man, we are afraid of the crowd, for they hold that John was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, We do not know. And he said to them, Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things. So they asked Jesus where his authority came from. And in response, he asked where John the Baptist's authority came from. And they're at stalemate. Because if they say that was from God, then Jesus, why didn't you believe him? And if they say it's from man, the people are going to be angry at them. So they tried to trap Jesus, and Jesus ended up trapping them. All right. The parable of the two sons. What do you think? A man had two sons, and he went into the first and said, Son, go and work in the vineyard today. And he answered, I will not. But after he changed his mind and went. And when he went to the other son and said the same, he answered, I, sir, but did not go. Which of the two sons did the will of his father? They said, The first. And Jesus said to them, Truly, I say to you, the tax collectors and the prostitutes go into the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you in the way of the righteous, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and the prostitutes did believe him. And even when you saw it, you did not afterward change your minds and believe him. So, what does this say? The first doubted, but ended up believing. And the second, they did not. They said they presented themselves of doing it, but they did not. All right. So the people, like the tax collectors and the prostitutes, there's people that were in sin. They turned away, and that wasn't even a sign for the Sadducees and the Pharisees. These people that were living in sin that turned away, that wasn't a sign. That wasn't good enough for them. The parable of the tenants. Here another parable. There was a master of a house who planted a vineyard and put a fence around it and dug a wine press in it and built a tower and leased it to the tenants and went into another country. When the season for fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the tenants to get his fruit. And the tenants took his servants and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. Again he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did the same to them. Finally he sent his son to them, saying, They will respect my son. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to themselves, This is their heir. Come, let us kill him and have his inheritance. And they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. When therefore the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants? And they said to him, He will put those wretches into miserable death and let out the vineyard to the other tenants, who will give him the fruits in their seasons. Jesus said to them, Have you not read the scriptures? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This was the Lord's doing, and it was marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to people producing its fruit. And the one who falls on this stone will be broken into pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard this parable, they perceived that he was speaking about them. And although they were seeking to arrest him, they feared the crowds because they held him to be a prophet. All right, so what is this? So the owner of the vineyard is God, and during this time, the tenants are symbolic of people who rejected Jesus and rejected those who were sent from God. The son is Jesus. So they first kill the servants, then they kill the son, thinking they will be doing something for their own benefit. But Jesus is saying the son that you killed is going to be the cornerstone of everything. It's going to be the most important thing. So, in verse 42, I'm going to reread this. Jesus said to them, Have you not read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. The priests were afraid to arrest him. This was something that they feared him because people believed that Jesus was a prophet. Now, this was the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe, and goodbye.